Why runners gain weight during training. This happens to so many runners, and you feel like it's your fault. So what you try to do is take matters into your own hand and go through a trial and error and guesswork approach. But what you really need is my proven three-step system that has helped over 250 runners now break the cycle of feeling heavy, fluffy, and slow. So let me take you through why weight creeps up. There's so many different variables to this. However, the most important reason into why you're actually holding stubborn belly fat is going to be your metabolism. So chronic underfueling happens through when you're in big calorie deficits. The reason why a big calorie deficit is a no-no for runners, number one, is because you're going to feel awful and you're not going to be able to actually fulfill your sessions. And number two, you'll start to lose muscle mass. And if you lose muscle, your metabolism slows. So then losing fat becomes impossible. However, things like having that appetite that won't stop is another thing that will make the weight go up because you'll just eat anything in sight. The I earned it trap, which is again, it sort of relates back to the appetite. But after you've done like a long run, you feel like you can eat anything in sight. Glycogen and water retention. So when you're eating carbohydrates, which is really important, by the way, you need to be eating these. You do store some water because every 3 grams of water is for every 1 gram of glycogen. And then finally, another big one for runners, because of underfueling and the high volume, there's a lot of cortisol in the body and you have stress responses. So ensuring that the correct nutrition plan that you're following is tailored to you and is going to ensure that you're bringing down their markers, super important. The frustration cycle, every runner has gone through this, I can promise you that, myself included. Until you actually get the correct nutrition in place, this will keep going round and round in circles. I spoke to a few runners the other month and they had been through this exact cycle for like 5 years straight. And I asked them, why haven't you done anything sooner? And it's usually because life is too busy and also it's like the fear of the unknown, right? But what happens is you train harder, the hunger comes, you then try to cut carbs, reduce calories, try certain fads like keto. You might even try fasting, and then the chronic underfueling hits because you've got a long run on Sunday, you've got speed sessions to hit. Then the fatigue and poor recovery comes. So even when you're turning up at work or with your kids, you're not feeling 100%, which is then impacting your life. So then the big internal response is going to be from your brain. You're then going to get cravings, turns into weekend binges, turns into the guilt, feeling like, what have I done? And then the weight stalls. And this is the big part. You start to hate and resent the one thing that actually brought you peace, which is in running. Guesswork is the biggest killer, and I'll tell you why. Trial and error is certainly not a strategy. You're literally gambling. It's like going to a casino, putting £50 on black and expecting a guaranteed return. Unless you're making decisions based from logic and data, you're never going to move the needle and you will never get to the result that you feel like that you actually deserve from all of these hours of training. No data, no logic. Emotional decisions, this is very common because as humans, we're very self-biased. Even me to this day, I will have a coach guide me through what's necessary, mainly because I will make an emotional decision for myself no matter what, because we're just driven that way, we're programmed that way. So he can then take the emotional side out of it, give me that logistic decision, and then I just have to follow that. Whereas for my clients, because it's not for me, I can make logistic decisions too. Random tweaks as well. Like you can't be changing too many variables at once. That just equals stuck. And if you get stuck, you then start to solve another 50 different problems. When realistically, 9 times out of 10 for runners, there's just one bottleneck that you have. You need to solve that problem. And sure, once you've solved that problem, you might get new devils, as when you reach new levels, you do get new devils. However, for most runners, if your problem is that your weight's going up, you can't lose body fat, it's probably nutrition. The 3-step performance system. So this is what I take all my runners through, which is going to be key if you do want that leaner, faster and stronger physique. And also if you want this to be something that's sustainable and not a quick burn. So number one, I take all my athletes through phase one, which is rebuilding your metabolism. I get them all eating the correct amount of nutrition that they need to match their outputs. So whatever their total daily energy expenditure is, I get them eating that amount of calories. So we start at the top, so then we can go into phase two, which is the fun part. We learn how to balance fat loss with performance. But until you've gone through excuse me, until you've gone through phase one, going through phase two is pointless because a lot of runners, they are underfueling massively. So they're already at sort of rock bottom with their hormonal health, with their metabolic health. And if you try and take that even further and dig into a bigger deficit, that's when you hit the chronic fatigue, the chronic underfueling. So it's very important to get you eating at the top so your metabolism can get in a more stable position. Then moving into step two, we then can pull back the calories on your rest days, on your strength days, where there's a lot less output. Whereas on the more output days, that are running days, double training days, hard days, long runs, we then have a fueling system in place that's going to ensure that you're replenishing all them burnt calories. And then once, say, your goal is to lose 10, 15 pounds, once this is done, we then move into the third phase where we reverse out of it correctly. This is key because like 92% of runners, I think just in general as a population, go back to their old weight within 2 years because they haven't learned how to sustainably actually maintain this. You have to strategically revert out of it with your calories because if you're at an all-time low, your body sensitivity is going to be everywhere. So you have to do it slowly to make sure that you don't just go back to your old weights. We we also collect data to remove the guesswork. So we'll check the scales every week, every Sunday. All we need is once a week to see if you're moving in the right direction. We'll look at hunger levels. We'll look at sleep quality. We'll also look at performance. And what we also get is like biofeedback. So we get measurements of your waist, your hips, your arms, your thighs. That's going to be a key data bit of information that will tell us if you're losing body fat. And you have to learn the balance. It's so important for you to do this. Like the weekly logic check-ins, yes, that gets us data, but what it also gets us is a clearer understanding into what needs to change with the fueling, with the nutrition. So we don't go longer than 6 days or 7 days without knowing what needs to change to put you in the right direction, because we make changes based on two factors: when your body changes and also when your mileage changes. So if you're doing that trial and error and guesswork, you don't have that data behind you to then know and look at it in terms of, okay, cool, I haven't moved weight in 2 weeks, so now I know that something needs to move. Okay, weight hasn't moved in 2 weeks, but we've actually lost some fat in the hips, in the waist, so we are actually going in the right direction. The weight's potentially just maintained or up because of the water retention, because of the cortisol release. So that's why it's so important to have data so that you can actually find the true bottleneck. Fergal has gone through my 3 step process. Actually, I think he's just finishing the second step. The goal is to get him to sort of 71, and then we'll reverse him out of it. So he's been with me for 4 months. He's going to be with me for 6 months in total. So far, we've managed to take off 6 kilo of pure body fat whilst taking his 5K time from 20-30 seconds down to 19-12. And his half marathon has gone from 140 to 135. His problem was that he was just guessing, like the majority of you guys. And as soon as we put the right systems in place, the confidence skyrocketed. And now he's feeling very lean, very happy in his body, hitting times he never thought was possible. He was actually mad that he got a 19-12. His goal was to hit sub 19. That goes to show that your mentality changes massively as you start to progress and develop as a human. You shouldn't be settling for what you're at now, because I promise you, what's around the corner is massive. You just don't know what you don't know at the moment. Another transformation, my client Steve, this is huge. We dropped 12 kilo in 6 months. We done this through, again, my 3 step system. We managed to save 5 to 10 hours per week because he was once didn't understand what foods to eat, how much foods to eat. So he kept researching and trying to find the answers out. Whereas I took all of that stress away from him and just gave him something that was tailored to him, his taste. So he just had to execute upon that. This was massive for Steve. He was also eating out once or twice a week, and he would say that he would have a glass of red wine or two every week as well. So having that balance is super important. And then my client Amber, we managed to go from, I think this was a £15, £16 deduction in 16 weeks. So that's £1 a week. However, we didn't start losing fat until the 3rd week, as you have to go through that first phase. Super important. We managed to take her running times down by like 5 to 8 minutes in her 10K. Her half marathon time, she's going for a new PB very soon. And the big thing for her was understanding her hormones, as on the left, the cortisol for her was very high. She has a very stressful job. So she was feeling stuck, and now she's lean and resilient and learning how to fuel herself independently on her own. If you're ready to stop guessing, DM me the word system on Instagram or on TikTok or even on YouTube. Just DM system and I'll get in touch with you and we can have a chat and I will see if I can install my 3-step system into your life. If not, you'll get some clarity from it and you can understand the process so that you can then make a clear decision going forward whether that you then need to know if this is something that you need to go on. Because I'm telling you, I spoke to thousands of runners in the past few years. The ones that make the decision in terms of going through the 3-step system that I have, they're the ones that get the results within 4 to 6 months. The ones that don't, some of them still succeed because they have a lot of time to research and learn the methods that I teach. But a lot of it isn't even information, as we're not in a society that lacks information, we lack implementation. So being held accountable every step of the way is super important for runners because of the heavy load, because of your work life, because of trying to balance that all together. You can save 5 to 10 hours per week if you install this system, which will then pay its dividends into other areas in your life other than the running itself. So not only are you going to become faster, leaner and stronger, but you're going to become more confident and more clear-minded into your family's life, into your social life. So bear that in mind when making a decision into whether you want to find out if this is going to be something that's a fit for you. But I hope you found this helpful. Drop my page a subscribe and drop it a like too, and watch out for the next one.